Ferrari Y. So this Miami GP was crazy. Like, those McLaren boys are fast. Oh my gosh. And of course, Max showed up, as he always does, racing hard, doing really intense speed off the line. But he is not the only one. We also had George and Kimi showing up. We saw great action from Alex Albon and from both of the Ferraris. There was just a lot going on. And that's just the race. If you caught the sprint, then you know how much more action there was this weekend. I think Miami has solidified itself as a really great racetrack. So the Miami race, wow. We had action right off the front of the line, and I would even venture to say that this was the most exciting race of the year so far. Max right off the line was incredibly fast, but then he experienced a lockup. But then Lando goes for a pass, can't quite make it stick, and then Piastri gets through with Kimi. It was a crazy start. So why did Max lock up? I'll tell you, at the beginning of any F1 race, there's a really high chance that drivers can lock up at that first turn. Their brakes are cold. You know, they've done a warm-up lap, but they're nowhere near the level that they'll be for the rest of the race. But they have to use incredible speed right off the line and then really intense braking to make that first turn. So my guess is Max's car was not up to snuff, or he had to brake just too hard based off of his incredible speed off the line, and that's why he had that lockup. And then we had the action at the back. Lawson and Doohan having contact. I really felt for those guys. They're both struggling to prove to their teams just how valuable they can be. And for Doohan, this was most likely his last race with his team for the year. So it was just an awful situation. And they both ended up retiring throughout the race. But the McLarens were incredible. I loved seeing them battle with Max. I loved seeing them battle with Mercedes. That was just so great. You know, after years of Mercedes kind of being a midfield team almost and not truly fighting for those podiums throughout every season, we are having them come back, and both George and Kimi were doing an incredible job with their car that is proving to be incredibly reliable. Then we had Alonso spin out, just sort of out of nowhere. My guess is that that was a bit of oversteer. I think he hit some of those marbles, and Miami is a really, really low grip track. And what I mean by that is that it is not a permanent track. Because it's a street track and it's only up temporarily, it doesn't have all of that constant racing on it that a track like Silverstone would have, where all of the tires that are going on it all the time are literally laying down rubber into the track. So not only was Miami green, but it also got rained on, washing away previous race rubbering ins. So that was really frustrating. Even Verstappen complained that the road was slippery. And then he got himself back. But both him and Stroll were 11 and 18 seconds behind the rest of the field. Now, of course, we did have 4 DNFs, but that was across different teams. I was honestly very surprised at how poorly they're doing. I hope they're bringing some upgrades. I know Newey is working on the car for next year, and I honestly think maybe that's what's happened, is Aston Martin has put all of its eggs into its basket for next year, and it's not really focused on getting wins this year. But if you disagree, if you think it was something else, please drop a comment below. I would love to learn some other hot takes on this. And then we had Hamilton, who did not qualify well. It really felt like he was stuck behind Ocon in a Haas. I mean, 3 years ago, if you had told us that a Ferrari would be stuck behind a Haas lap after lap, I mean, it just kind of boggles your mind how much this season has had a switch up in the team orders. Okay, so Hamilton eventually passes Ocon. It was a great overtake. And then Bearman has his engine just completely stop working, and we got a virtual safety car. And so because there wasn't debris, but it was just an engine failure, and Bearman was able to safely get his car fully off the track, they only had to do a virtual safety car. This prompted quite a few cars to pit, including George Russell, and he ended up overtaking Verstappen in the pits. So a normal pit stop time is about 20 seconds. But under the virtual safety car, it's only 11 seconds. So you save a lot of time by pitting, and it was just the perfect time for him. And then he was able to use those tires for the rest of the race. Then we have Hamilton passing Hülkenberg. We have Albon in a Williams passing Kimi in a Mercedes, which is just, the Williams was on fire. And then Tsunoda, while he was doing his pit, got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But then, my overtake of the race was the two Ferraris passing Sainz at the same time. That was an incredible overtake. It seemed like they were really working together to get ahead as a team. And to have two drivers pass one driver in one go, there was no way that Sainz could have defended against both of them at the same time. And then, of course, it wouldn't be an F1 race without Ferrari drama.
You know, we should just sit here, salt the whole race.
I'll come back to you.
Ferrari, why?
This is not good teamwork, that's all I'm going to say. Have a tea break while you're at it.
Okay, so Lewis had on medium tires. Charles had on hard tires. After the race, Charles even said he agreed with Lewis's call and that he would have been asking for the same thing. Lewis felt like he had the speed to overtake Kimi, which would have been amazing, except Ferrari took so long deliberating about this that Lewis was losing that edge that his medium tires gave him. Now, could he have passed Kimi or not? I'm not sure, but now we'll never know because Ferrari dragged their feet. Eventually, Lewis was asked to give the place back to Charles, and we all had to deal with hearing about it on the radio, which was hilarious. Honestly, near the end of the race, I was really invested in the Yuki and Hadjar race-off because Yuki had a 5-second penalty, and at the time, Hadjar was within that 5 seconds. So Yuki, knowing that this was happening, sped up as fast as he could with Hadjar chasing him as fast as he could. And Yuki was able to manage that 5-second gap to Hadjar. So Hadjar didn't get that extra point, but it was a very near thing and a lot of fun to watch. And there was a huge gap by the time we got to the end between the McLarens and everybody else. And Oscar was really far ahead. I think it just further proves just how fast the McLaren is right now. And I know a lot of teams have upgrades coming to Imola, so I'm really excited to see some close racing. And then at the end, we had Oscar do a little gritty dance, which was, you know, he even said that won't be one of the highlights, but I fear it's going to be played a lot more than he wants it to be. And did you see the podium ceremony? So first off, we had a woman. It's the first woman we've had on a podium since 2022. She's head of McLaren marketing. But the crowd, when the FIA president came out to give the award, the crowd was booing him. Oh my gosh. It was, so to wrap it up, on the podium, we had Oscar Piastri winning the race. I don't think anybody can argue with it. He performed so well. He really earned that position. His third win of the season so far. Then we had Lando in second place. I think he had an amazing performance. Even though he struggled when it came to that first lap, he really got himself back up there. And then, of course, George. George did amazing in the race, and having that strategy call to pit him early under that safety car and have it work out just right, I think he was both smart and lucky during the race. And when it comes to penalties, only one penalty stuck. That was Yuki Tsunoda for speeding in the pit lane. And then Yuki served that at the end. So the 5 seconds were added on to his final time, but it ended up not changing his standings in the grid because Isaac Hadjar, who was right behind him, was more than 5 seconds trailing him. And we have a new pit stop winner. For all of the previous races, Ferrari has had the fastest pit stop, but at the Miami GP, it was McLaren. They had their fastest pit stop at 2.3 seconds. Okay, so that is the Miami GP wrap up. Please let me know what your favorite moment was in the comments, or let me know if you have any questions. I know so much happened. My notes were scroll worthy. I took so many. I can't even go over all of them. It was a wild ride. And thank you so much for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making this for you guys. If there's anything else you'd want to see, please let me know. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting my new channel.